Hello traders, welcome to Zion Traders. So today we'll be analyzing Euro USD, right? So we'll take a look at the technical and as well as the fundamental perspective, right? So before we take a look at the technicals, let's quickly take a look at the fundamental perspective. As you can see right here, in May 2025, inflation decreased to 1.9%, falling below the European Central Bank 2% target for the first time since September 2024. This decline is actually not so cool, right? Saying that it has gone below the expectation, which is the forecast right here, and ECB, which is Eurozone Central Bank expectation. So it's actually very bad. And as a result of this, on June 5, 2025, ECB reduced the main interest rate by 0.25 percentage basic point, right, to about 2%, right? It was initially 2.25% previously, but right now it has been reduced, right? So you can see from 2.25% to 2%. And this is as a result of declining inflation and economic growth. Moving forward, guys, we'll see that the Eurozone GDP, it actually very good this period. Eurozone GDP increased or grew by 0.4% in Q1 2025, exceeding 0.25% that was actually projected, right, or forecasted, right? So you can see it has increased, and this is actually very good, seeing that the economy is growing and it's stable, despite the fact that the CPI, which is inflation, is actually going lower. It's actually good for Eurozone, but then for investors, what does that say? Since the interest rate has been reduced, what does it attract investors or it doesn't? Actually, investors are more attracted based on interest rate increment. They actually, but also investors, they also like to look at economic stability. Eurozone economy is actually a bit stable, so if you are looking at the long term, I think Eurozone is cool. But right now, in the short term, it's actually not so cool for investors. So let's quickly take a look at the fundamentals on US, right? So as you can see here in US, CPI increased by 0.2% in April 2025, with the annual inflation rate at 2.3%, down from 2.4%. This is for the US. I think it's actually good, positive for US, although it's below expectation, but it's above what we had previously. So it's actually pretty much better. It's better off than what we have on in the case of euro currently, right? So core CPI, right, is actually, which is excluding food and energy, rose to about 2.8%, which is for the year over year, right? So that's actually a good signal for US over euro, right? So eurozone. So that's pretty much it. And if we look at the economic growth, which is their GDP, it actually contracted by 0.2% in Q1 2025, following a 2.4% increase in Q4, as you can see right here. So it was the expectation or the forecast was actually minus, which is 0.3%, but then it came out positive, saying that it's actually above their expectation, right? So it's better off than what they had forecasted. So it's actually very, very, very good that it's saying that their GDP also, it has actually, although it declined, but then it's actually better off than it was previously, right? So this contraction is actually attributed to weaker consumption spending and inventory adjustment amid tariff concerns. A whole lot of issues about tariff and the likes has been happening. Although all of these are happening, but if we look at the last recent NFP that came up, which was yesterday, being I think 5th, 6th, right, of June 2025, it actually came out positive. I think about 139 jobs has been added. So this is actually showing that the US economy is showing signs of resilience, stable inflation and employment, right? So, but it's actually facing challenges. The only challenges that is posing right now is this their GDP that actually declined, although it's actually better off than it was previously, but then it's actually still a concern. There's no expectation, let me use that word, to cut interest rate, right? They're actually looking at keeping the interest rate between the 4.25 to 4.5% during June 17th to 18th meeting. So, however, Donald Trump, which is president, called for a 100% basis point rate cut, but Fed officials advocate a cautious approach amid economic uncertainties. So that's pretty much it for the technical fundamentals slash macroeconomics. So we see that euro dollar is actually showing a level of resilience compared to that of euro. Euro is actually cool as well, but then compared to USD, I think USD is better off currently fundamentally. So for what we see on the weekly time frame on Euro USD right here, we can see price is actually actually broke structural bullish, and it's actually very cool. But however, we based on the price action we are seeing right here, we could possibly see a retracement, just like I said on our previous video, right? So on the 4 hour time frame, looking at the current price action, we can see right here that on the 4 hour time frame, seeing that price has already broken structure higher, we could possibly see retracement on the weekly time frame. On the 4 hour time frame, that has actually been confirmed right now. We have a change of character right here and a break of structure right here, although not very visible, but then it's still a very valid break of structure. And price has actually traded back into this other block currently, which is the origin. And from here, most likely we should be expecting a sell right from this very point, right to this zone, at least to take at least external range liquidity. Let's really take a look at DXY and see what is happening there. So this is the weekly time frame on DXY, and as you can see right here, price has actually also broken structural bearish. It means that we are very bearish on DXY, right? So which is dollar index. And also if you look at something here, we can see this bearish engulfing candle, engulfing totally this candle. This signals a reversal actually, but then if we are, although this candlestick, we have to, even though we want to buy, because I'm actually looking at buys, but then we have to be very mindful and careful, right? And because of this candle, this candle it speaks volume. Let me use that word. It speaks volume, right? So we could possibly see that this level, which is the level I'm going to show you on the 4 hour time frame, it could fail, right? But then my bias is still that we are still on the buy side, which is for retracement. We are going for a retracement, right? So on the 4 hour time frame, you can see we had a change of character, and like I always tell you guys, a change of character is a signal. It's signaling that there's a possible reversal that is going to take place. However, a break of structure is what solidifies, is what confirms that that reversal is actually true. So we have a change of character and we have a break of structure. It means that this potentially we are actually about going bullish, right? And then we can see what price did right here. Although we have like another change of character at this point, not even at this point, at this close at this point, right? So after this change of character bearish, remember what I always tell you guys: a change of character is signals there's a potential reversal, right? But then the overall, if we look at the overall, what's our expectation? We are actually expecting US dollar to retrace, and actually looking at the fundamentals as well. Fundamental is pretty good, so we're actually going to favor the buy side rather than the sell side.